All right, guys, the big day you've been waiting for has finally arrived. Hot off the presses, happening 2 minutes ago, Luke Getsy has been fired as the offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. It looks like, guys, we finally have an opportunity to move forward. Also, joining this dumpster fire was Andrew Janocko. That was the quarterback coach. Guys, I think if I'm right here, that this really speaks volumes as to what they're going to do with Justin Fields. I would get the sense right here that if you're firing the quarterback coach and you're firing the offensive coordinator, then you recognize or at least realize that what you have with Justin Fields might just be the future. Dare I say it? Now, it's early, and we don't know all the details right now, but we do understand that the Bears have moved on from Luke Getsy, and we still don't have an update on Matt Eberflus. We don't know what's going on with some of these other guys right now. We haven't had any clarity so far from the Bears about Justin Fields, but it feels like there are pieces in place, and there seems to be actors within the Bears organization, namely among them, DJ Moore, who seems to be pretty bullish overall about Justin Fields staying with the team. There's been multiple reports over the last little while that maybe, just maybe, they're tipping their hat to DJ Moore, letting him know that they intend to continue on with Justin Fields, and that the important thing right now is to find him people and get him surrounded by people who are going to make him a monstrous success, that maybe, just maybe, Justin Fields is going to stick with the team and that they're going to build around him. Now, following up on that, we had another Chicago quarterback who came out in support this evening or yesterday evening for Justin Fields, and that was, if you can believe this one, it was Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler out here living his best life says, Jay, this really, and I'm going to paraphrase here so I don't get a strike or anything, but he's really talking about, and what he illustrates here. This is about as complex as they get. They get the very first pick. They've got the 9th pick. You've got Caleb Williams. You've got Drake May. Highly up there at 1 through 5. And then you've got Justin Fields going to his 3rd year. He's 10 for 27, 40 touchdowns, 30 picks. His 4th quarter stats are pretty bad, and the team's not that good. I don't know what they're going to do. What I think they should do is trade down, get some more guys on that team to help out Justin, and see what happens. Because let's plug in Caleb Williams in this team. If he's out there in that game with that game plan, as many times as Justin. Look, I tried to look at, there's so many more. Guys, the summary of this is that he is saying Justin Fields is the guy, and that no quarterback is going to overcome the problems that the Bears showed. The difficulties with the offense, with the play calling, with some of the nonsense that was going on there. And guys, look, I don't want to dump on Luke Getsy. The guy's looking for a job right now, even though, of course, he gets a huge severance package. I don't really feel bad for him, but I do feel bad that we had to endure what could have been just a much better result here. I think we're going to look back on this, and if this is the case, then Justin Fields is the quarterback right now for the Chicago Bears, potentially going forward. Now, we do need to see it, of course, play out, but Jay Cutler is on Team Justin. So now we've got Luke Getsy gone. We've got Jay Cutler coming out in support. Then we also have DJ Moore blaming bad play calling for Chicago's offensive struggles this season. We got the team to do it. We've got the quarterback to do it. We just need the play call to be explosive downfield. Now, remember, guys, we looked at a 2.5-minute video yesterday where there was no opportunity to get downfield, okay? Part of that, by the way, I do want to illustrate, because I wanted to point that out. And then, of course, the blame for that falls on the offensive line. But it's very difficult for the offensive line to perform when the play calling is predictable and everybody knows what's coming next. So there was no creativity. There was no real There was no real sense that the Bears were a threat, if you will. So you look at threatening players. You look at people like DJ Moore. You look at people like Cole Kmet. You look at players like Justin Fields, Deontay Foreman, Khalil Herbert. You have talent on the roster. You may not have a wide receiving core that's going to scare anybody, but you have talent. You're just not utilizing it all properly, So it looks like, and by the way, that leads us to this right here. Look at DJ Moore's smirk. His face is saying, they told me their plans. Justin Fields isn't going anywhere. Now, that is somebody who's saying something. Basically, they're trying to let you know that, DJ Moore. But what he says, it's not up to me, but just to have a voice on it is pretty good. And they seem receptive to you. But who wouldn't be receptive to me? You know what I'm saying? I got the single and everything. So what he's trying to say here is that maybe he just has an inroad to saying whether or not Justin Fields is going to be the quarterback of the future for the Chicago Bears. Oh my God, I just said the Chicago Bulls. Guys, it's been a long morning already. I already did for those of you who don't know, I do crypto stuff but it's been a long morning already. So anyway, Chicago Bears. We got John Harrington in the house. The problem with Getsy was he had no imagination in his play calling. In Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers was allowed to audible whenever he wanted. He ran the offense. And that right there, guys, John Harrington, hot take, man. I appreciate you for that. That's something that most people are not talking about and not recognizing. There was no opportunity for Justin Fields to audible out. And, that speaks to what they thought was Justin Fields' intelligence in the scheme of the offense, which, I would think that you should be giving your quarterback the opportunity until he screws up monumentally. But if he does, it's only one play. You're already messing up the play calling by not giving him a little bit of that freedom. So it was really a catch-22. So I am so excited with the fact that Luke Getsy is gone, because maybe, just maybe, Justin Fields, and by the way, it's very possible that this next offensive coordinator will give him a little bit of liberty, et cetera, but we're going to have to play it by ear. We're going to have to see. We've got a lot of quarterback whisperers out there who are looking at, who could change everything. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, I am a big fan of Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator out of Alabama. I know there's a big move going from the college to the pros. It's a different style of offense. It's really just a different game at this point. However, he is what you would call a quarterback whisperer. And we already have a quarterback whisperer in Eric Bieniemy, and I don't know that Eric Bieniemy is going to be on the menu, if you will, because I think he might like where he is. And he, of course, made Sam Howell look great. How much money will the McCaskies spend? There are some questions here. So I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know for sure. And by the way, one of the things that everybody says that really, and I want to break this down. One of the things that a lot of people say, talking heads, et cetera, is learning a new offense. Every time a new system comes in, you have to learn a new offense, right? No, you don't. You stick with what's good. You stick with what's good, and you continue to do what's good, and then you can start to break out your offense as the season progresses. You find out what your quarterback is good at, and then you tailor your offense to what he can do. So moving the offense from one OC to another OC is only a bad thing when it's someone like Luke Getsy who's not giving you the opportunity to succeed. He did not give Justin Fields the opportunity to succeed. Now, look, you can say, or you can be, here's the thing. If Eric Bieniemy came in here, he would turn Justin Fields into a star, in my opinion, because he would tailor everything to his strengths. He would tailor everything to Justin Fields' strengths immediately and without hesitation, I feel. That being said, I don't know that you need a new quarterback for that. I think the continuity at quarterback, the continuity with DJ Moore at wide receiver, the continuity of the defense, which has finally come together. And guys, I just want to point this out, okay? If you consider, and now I thought this year was going to be a loss. If you go back and you look at my history and the beginning of this season, what I told everybody was the Bears are not going to be a good team at the beginning of the year. As the season progressed, they were going to get better and better and better and better. And, I did think that they were going to dominate Green Bay. I did think that maybe we had turned a corner, and I did feel like, perhaps, and by the way, I was just trying to will it into existence. Like, I don't know, week to week, what that's going to look like. Sometimes it looks great. Sometimes but here's the thing. I was pretty convinced that what we saw for the last couple of weeks was the development of not Justin Fields, but Luke Getsy. Like, I felt like what we were seeing with Luke Getsy was some improvement in what he was doing and some recognition. So I don't really, I really felt like we were going to have a much better showing against Green Bay. And, for the record, the defense held them to 17 points and the offense had opportunities. But again, we fell victim to very predictable play calling, and that ended up going very, very poorly. By the way, guys, if you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. That pushes me up in the algorithm, and that helps me out tremendously to continue to provide you with this content. So what's next? So we've got Luke Getsy out. We've got DJ Moore talking about he thinks that, Justin Fields is going to be the guy. Also, let's not forget here, Jim Harbaugh. And let me pull this up for you guys. Jim Harbaugh has dealt with Justin Fields before, as Justin Fields went 14 of 25 for 302 yards with 4 touchdowns in their last meeting. And J.K. Dobbins, 31 rushes for 211 yards. Guys had a great, great game devouring Michigan. So it is entirely possible that Jim Harbaugh, who is really the top story here, Jim Harbaugh should be Ryan Pohl's first answer to the uneasy Bears questions. Now, if you like Jim Harbaugh, please make sure you hit the like button on the way in. I think that what we're seeing right here, as of Tuesday afternoon, there has been no announcement about the future of head coach Matt Eberflus, and general manager Ryan Poles conducted 9 hours of meetings with players on Monday. Of course, part of that was what we saw, and that was that Jalen Johnson had done an exit interview, and he felt confident that he was going to stay, and that he's, that they're going to work out something for him long term, that he felt like he was in a pretty good position. So kudos to Jalen Johnson. We certainly want him to be here. Him and Tyreek Stevenson, I think that is a great cornerback combination with Jaquan Brisker roaming the field along with those guys. I just get the sense that the secondary of the Bears is going to be fantastic for years to come. I am hoping that we move on from Eddie Jackson. Not that I don't love Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson has been a stalwart for the Bears defenses for a number of years, but I think he's getting a little bit older right now, and it's very tough for him to keep up. And I think that he's not going to get better at this point in his career. So, and by the way, I could be wrong, and there could be a revival, and we could see Eddie Jackson one more time, but I don't think so. I think we move on there, but I think that means that ultimately the future is very bright. Now, Jim Harbaugh, the reason that you haven't seen very much, I think, this is my opinion, is number one, they want to talk to Jim Harbaugh before they fully commit to Matt Eberflus. Or we've already committed to Matt Eberflus, we're just not making an announcement. So it's possible. And I want you guys to consider that over the course of the year, this defense did evolve quite different than what we had originally thought they were going to do. We did feel a little bit different about this defense towards the end of the year versus the beginning of the year. I know we want offense. We want to see, these teams come together. We want to see big wins. And I, yesterday we talked about this. The Bears were, five very close games away from being 12-5 and being in the playoffs. But, I do want to look at the team statistics, and I do want to give you guys kind of a breakdown again. I did this yesterday, want to do it again today, and I want to remind you that when it comes to rushing defense and yards given up, Chicago Bears were number one. They were the number one defense against the run. So if that continues to be the case, then it would be fair to say that the Chicago Bears might actually be coming together and might be pretty good. Now, then you take the passing, and the passing was not that great, but I feel like, and guys, you're welcome to debate me on this, but I feel like if we gave up maybe 15, 20 less yards a game, then we're at least middle of the pack with Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevens, Jaquan Brisker. Everybody's getting a little bit better. And actually, ESPN, guys, just broke the news that the Bears are retaining Matt Eberflus. So I just got an alert for that. I don't see the article up here yet. Let's pop into the Bears. And so I don't see it yet, but I just got a hot take and a hot update on that, saying that they have retained Matt Eberflus and they're moving on from Luke Getsy. So now we have some, now we can establish at least, let's get with Ian Rappaport, see what Ian Rappaport has to say about it. Here we go. Bears coach Matt Eberflus will likely remain as the defensive play caller, though he's expected to hire a true defensive coordinator. Now he'll hire an OC as well to work with Justin Fields or whomever else. So that seems to be the case right now. So it looks like, and guys, I'm going to go back to this. We just talked about this. Matt Eberflus ran the number one rushing defense in the NFL last year. So say what you want about Matt Eberflus. Let's talk about his decision-making, and let's hope that Ryan Poles and he and Kevin Warren find complementary people to surround whoever the quarterback is. But another thing that I want to point out, because we did this yesterday again, and some of you guys just don't like the statistics, but the statistics tell you a tale about what this team is or what this team is doing. The overall yards, when you look at Chicago was in the bottom third. They were, but it was very close. A couple more yards per game, and the Chicago Bears look quite a bit better. Rushing yards. Chicago Bears were number 2 in the league in rushing. Now, most people would make a defense and say, yeah, but, the quarterback is running all the time. Fair enough, but he only had 600 yards rushing. So, take that out, and you still got a really good, solid, middle-of-the-pack rushing team with Deontay Foreman, Khalil Herbert, and Roschon Johnson coming off the bench. Like this has really been a good rushing team. And then it's the passing game. The passing game is in the bottom 6 in the league. Now, the question is, what can be done to improve that? And then that's where that comes in now. Is it play calling? Is it fair to say that we were not served very well in our play calling with this offense? And I think it's obvious that the answer is yes. The question that most of you guys now have is, well, what is going to happen next? Like, can the if we get a new guy, if we get a new offensive play caller and he's going down the fields, so do we get better at Justin Fields if Justin Fields is in fact the quarterback? And I think the answer to that is a resounding yes, guys. I don't want to disagree with you. I don't want to argue about it. I think Justin Fields is the future of the Chicago Bears. And I want to say this. I want to say that Justin Fields is a quality man. He is a strong member of the community. He works incredibly hard to master his craft. Has he done it so far? No. But again, let's talk about that. Guys, if you're not allowed to audible out of your place, and if your play caller is not making good quality decisions, then who are you? And who you are is an ineffective quarterback. So has he been made an ineffective quarterback, or is he an ineffective quarterback? Well, let me just point out here that at Ohio State, he sure wasn't. Look, he was setting it on fire at Ohio State. Now, college again is a different game than the NFL, but it's still football. And if you have the right coaching, like a Ryan Day, then things look a lot different. If you have the right team surrounding you, things look a lot different. So let's at least have some consideration that if Justin Fields is the guy and that Matt Eberflus is the guy, as long as they come up with a quality offensive coordinator, this team is at least a playoff contender. Let me go back one more time. And guys, I don't want to beat a dead horse about all of this, but I do want you guys to look here. And I do want to make this a point that, look, we weren't going to beat the Packers. Fair enough. But we had an opportunity to beat the Buccaneers. We had an opportunity to beat the Browns. We could have been 2-2 to start the season out. So there's two potential wins. But let's say the Buccaneers, by virtue of winning by 10 points, maybe we weren't able to do that. But let's say we could have beaten the Broncos because it was within 3 points. We could have beaten the Vikings. If we just go with what's within a touchdown. And guys, this is an important stat for you to remember. If it's within a touchdown. So the Broncos, we could have had a win. The Vikings, we could have had a win. Not against the Chargers, but the Saints, 7 points. So we could have had a win there. The Lions, we remember that debacle. That's 4 wins right there if we could have beaten the Lions that first time. And then after that, the Browns 20-17. That's 5 wins. Guys, I want you to understand, you may not like this team, and you might be looking at a lot of the flaws in this team, but this team was just a couple of good play calls away, literally, from being a 12-5 team. And let's go look at the standings in the NFL. What does a 12-5 team look like in the NFL? In the NFC, it looks like the best team in the league. Guys, it's not that far away. I hope that everybody is kind of looking at this and saying, please take a step back and look at the statistics and look at what this is. We didn't win those close games. When you don't win those close games, that's generally coaching. That's generally not, your coaches are not putting your players in the best positions to be victorious. That is a complicated and difficult proposition. But here's the thing. That doesn't always last. If we get a decent and solid quality offensive coordinator, it does not matter who the quarterback is. I will say that. So in the event, I'm a Chicago, by the way, first, before I'm a Justin Fields fan. But I do like Justin Fields. I think that Justin Fields can do this. He runs this offense. He will run the offense pretty well. Is he more of a game manager would be the question that I would have. And I don't think so. I think that Justin Fields has a lot of dynamic capabilities that were not unlocked. Okay, that's the best way that I can say that. And I do want to point out, yesterday we did have a conversation. I talked to you guys about Jalen Johnson. In the interview that Jalen Johnson gave with, I want to say the score 670, he said, the one thing that I would do different is I would actually practice for certain situations. And we didn't do that. We just watched game film of it. And we were told, hey, guys, be ready for this. Like, it would be better if we walked our way through each and every one of these plays so that we were ready for them, so that we didn't make any mistakes, or at least we reduced our mistakes. Guys, I want you to think about the value of that for just a second here. This team, the Chicago Bears, they did not even bother to practice situational game element. Okay, just consider that for a second. You've got your best defensive player rated out and graded out, your best defensive player saying, yeah, we didn't really practice these situational occurrences. And his example, by the way, was, let's say this team likes to run a jet sweep to the left. Well, what we should do is we should run through practice a couple times just to kind of work out the kinks in it, so that we're ready for that play. And when we see that play and we know that play's coming, then we can do it. By the same token, what if you use the Chicago Bears offense to run the play just to see how they would do? Maybe you unlock a cheat code with Justin Fields. So, guys, I want to stress this. I want to stress this a lot, okay? I don't think, and by the way, on your way in, if you would, please hit the like button. That helps me out tremendously. And I want to say this again. Today, we talked to Jim Harbaugh. Maybe we find out what's going on. But I think that Matt Eberflus now is the guy. This report, by the way, as I'm looking at it and trying to kind of decipher it, I don't know that really is that they're holding on to Matt Eberflus. We might find something different any moment now. But But let's just operate from this understanding. Number one, we're not practicing. We're not putting our players in the right position to be successful. Number two, we're a couple games away, just a couple of simple plays. Guys, we had chances to win every one of these games. We were just a few simple plays away from being a 12-5 and thus one of the best teams in the league. Point differential here, I do want to say, only 19 points in the negative. Guys, the New York Giants, the Washington Commanders, minus 141, minus 189. Carolina Panthers, minus 180. The Arizona Cardinals, minus 125. The Chicago Bears, minus 18. This was a competitive team that played competitive football and lost, sure. But they were competitive. They played. They gave an opportunity. They just didn't find ways to win in the important moments. But that comes with maturity, and that comes with better coaching decisions. Now, the defense, let's start there. Defense going to be more shut down next year. The offense probably going to look better because I really think that the just getting rid of Luke Getsy has already made this offense better. Now, the next step is, who do you get in the draft? Who do you get in the draft? Well, guys, I don't know what you think of what people should do. And we all have an opinion in the draft. But I think the number one thing that we should be looking at is obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. So if Marvin Harrison Jr. is the guy that we're looking at, and by the way, if you start going around and you start looking at all the mock drafts, it is pretty much a lock with insiders at this point that the Bears are going to stick with Justin Fields and that they are probably going to trade this down in order to maximize their picks. But the end result here is that they are going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, when you get beyond Marvin Harrison Jr., then who are you talking about? Who is the next man up? Who's the guy that's going to, what is your next pick after that? Now, for me, and I do want to say I felt like, anyway, that I had I thought I had a picture of it, but I guess I don't. Malik Neighbors. I didn't have anything ready here. Sorry about that, guys. But Malik Neighbors, to me, is imagine, if you will, an offense with DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Malik Neighbors. Now, some of you might be saying, what about Roma Dunze? What about this guy? He's 6'2", 215 pounds, runs at 4.23, 40. Like, this is a beast, right? Well, yeah, so is Malik Neighbors. The difference between Malik Neighbors and Dunze is that Malik Neighbors gets open in short situational spaces. Roma Dunze is more like a deer, if you will, that can run down the field and beat everybody to get open for those long plays. But here's the thing. So can Marvin Harrison. So can DJ Moore. Okay. Now, Hakeem is actually going to point this out. And I apologize if I missed any of your comments here or any of this. Okay. So here's what I want to say to Hakeem. The O-line needs help. The O-line would get their help by virtue of, I don't think, by the way, I don't think that they need as much help as we're talking about here. We need better play calling, okay? If we start with better play calling, it fixes a lot of the offensive line problems. But let's consider this. The one thing that we did not happen, we had Darnell Mooney and we had Tyler Scott. Love those guys. They put in their heart and soul to this season. It just didn't work out. They're not good enough to create separation when the quarterback is under duress. Malik Neighbors, however, can get open and he can break away from people way better than Roma Dunze. So let's just assume it doesn't matter if Roma Dunze can run a 4.40. Doesn't matter how fast he is. What matters is, can he get open in the short game so that the Bears can maximize the opportunity, so that they can stretch the defense, so that they can make this defense work? And the answer to that is, I don't think so. He's big, so you might be able to make a few catches to him, but that would also mean that that we're giving up, I think, the best situational guy in college football, not named Marvin Harrison Jr. And look, between the 1 and the 9 pick, you get Marvin Harrison Jr., you get Malik Neighbors. You have solved the offense for years to come. You can continue drafting, and if you draft down from the number 1, because remember, The Washington Commanders have the number 2 pick, and the Arizona Cardinals have the 3 pick. Now, Jake says, does this mean no Harbaugh? I don't know, because here's the thing. What was just set up here, somebody just said, gets fired, Flus staying just announced. Now, I don't know that is the case. I know that at this moment right now, Luke Getsy is out. Matt Eberflus, nobody has said anything about it at this point. Okay. It's not really revealed at this point what is going on with that. So he could be on his way out. He could still be on his way out. There are some guys out there, so I'm sure they're going to be putting out feelers, trying to figure out their next move. But we do know Luke Getsy is out. We know that Eric Bieniemy is on the clock. So we're going to look at, I'm sure, Eric Bieniemy to see if this guy is the next man up. And is he the next signal caller for the Chicago Bears? I don't know how much it costs to hire Eric Bieniemy at this point. I don't know what his asking price is going to be, or whether or not he's even interested in making a move. But it is absolutely possible that this is what we're looking at. And again, like Jake USMC says, what an absolute awful day. Eberflus is an utter joke. Well, listen, Eberflus had one of the top defenses in the nation, the number 1 defense against the rush. And, they could have done a better job at passing. I will grant you that. But this team came together at the end of the year, finished the season 5-3. That's playoff worthy. So, the fact that we didn't do it in the beginning of the season, that was a lack of preparation, which I think Jalen Johnson pretty much revealed when he said that we didn't practice situational downs and we didn't practice all of the circumstances that could lead to victories or loss. They didn't coach very well. So the defense, on the other hand, is the defense did a good job. Matt Eberflus, if he continues to call the defense, he has an elite defense, or he's creating an elite defense. Now let's take a step back and let's at least consider something very, very important here. If that is the case, and if Matt Eberflus is in fact going to be the guy, and he continues the defensive play calling, this defense is going to be good. It's going to be fine. The other guy, by the way, for those of you that don't know, and for those of you just tuning in, please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. But you guys will know my guy that I want more than anybody else right now is right here, Jared Verse. Jared Verse is a guy with a motor that doesn't quit, that he makes all of the plays, that he does not take a down off for Florida State. Now, Florida State did not hold up very well against Georgia. I will grant that, but it's not this guy that's the problem in that regard. So I think that Jared Verse, a great defensive end. Yannick Ngakoue, by the way, I said before, like if Yannick Ngakoue comes back, then we're probably in a good position now that Montez Sweat is there, because I think Yannick was starting to play a little bit better before he got injured. However, DeMarcus Walker was serviceable, and I just think this guy's a true athlete. I think this guy is better, and if we could get this guy at the other defensive end, and Gervon Dexter, I want to say this, guys, he did not have a great start to his season, but he started to come alive. And remember, even though I say that, we're talking about the pass rush. For the rushing game, this was the best rushing defense in all of the NFL. No matter what you think of Matt Eberflus ran the number 1 rushing defense in the entire NFL. Now, here's the thing. With another season of play calling, because it does matter, but another season of play calling and people getting familiar with the Matt Eberflus system and his play calling, then TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edwards, Jaquan Brisker, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Montez Sweat, Gervon Dexter, DeMarcus Walker even. These guys are only going to improve and get better at these situational occurrences. Now, if you bring in somebody that really conditions them and practice them and puts them through the motions to be in those to be ready for everything. Once you've done that, once you've created this, then you've got an elite defense. Now, if this elite defense does take, and we do have that, then all you need is somebody to run the offense. So you run the offense, you got Justin Fields as your quarterback. It's if you have Justin Fields, it doesn't matter, by the way, just so you guys understand, it doesn't matter whether you have Justin Fields or Caleb Williams. I think that if you pick Caleb Williams, then it costs you in the long run because you have an opportunity to pick up some, what I think are two generational wide receivers, even though I know that means I'd be giving up on Jared Verse. I do understand that, by the way. But, you know, I would feel like just getting Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr., that's it right there. Now, if anything happens with DJ Moore, and DJ Moore is not here a couple of years from now, then we still have two elite receivers. I think that's very, very important. So, you know, I don't know what you guys think, but I really think that the Chicago Bears, again, and there's a lot of you, and there's a lot of you in here. There's a lot of Getsy is out, Flus is staying. We don't know about Flus for the moment. We just know that he's not been announced as having fired. Leave the quarterback position alone until we have a team. That's a good option, I think. Flus is garbage at hiring assistants. He is a good defensive coordinator, mediocre head coach. He has been so far. He's made bad decisions. And I want to point out, by the way, Luke Getsy, bad hire, defensive coordinator. God, I can't even remember his name at this point. Bad hire. The running back coach, both fired, by the way. So he does not have a track record of successful hires. So I would like to see Ryan Poles have a strong say in what goes on right there. Elite defense doesn't lose twice to the Packers this year. Yes, it does. And it only gave up 17 points. George, you cannot like the team. You cannot like Maddie Eberflus. You can have whatever you have in your mind as what you think is the reason. But if you have, if in the first game of the year, I will grant you, this team was not ready. They lost 38-20 against a team that was ready. And this was a testament to what Jalen Johnson said. However, at the end of the year, they only gave up 17 points to that same team who was on a winning streak going into the playoffs and playing their best football of the year, only gave up 17 points. So if you're looking at a 38-point loss versus if you look at them scoring 38 points when they're starting the season to when they're playing their best football, only scoring 17 points against the Bear, and you're somehow coming up with elite defense doesn't lose twice to the Packers this year, then you're not thinking clearly. I apologize. I don't mean to disrespect you, but you're not thinking clearly. Again, there were 5 games that this team was very, very close to winning that were within a touchdown. And if you had split them, you'd be in the playoffs. If you had won all 5 of them, you would be the best team in the NFC by record at the end of this season. You guys, some of you just don't understand how close this team was and is to being a really good football team. You're missing some of this. Mike Ibsen with the hot take says, Verse is good, but Latu is the guy for me. The medical show he won't have a problem going forward. And you can see the last 2 years of production is off the charts. Guys, I will grant you that. I will, just because Jared Verse grades out better doesn't mean that he's better. I want to say, who's that guy from South Carolina? There was a guy in South Carolina that at one point, he was a defensive end, and he was so fast and he was so good that he was sometimes in the backfield before the ball was even snapped. And it was absolutely crazy. But he took so many plays off that he's just he's a great player in the NFL sometimes, but he takes too many plays off because he's been lazy. God damn it, every once in a while I hear his name called and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that guy is still in the league. But that's, and I'm sorry that it escapes me. But I wish I could. Look, there are people that take plays off, so we'll see. But again, Jared Verse, if he's not part of the team, oh well. Marvin Harrison, that's the guy. Number one, you got to have Marvin Harrison. It would be great to have Eric Bieniemy. My guy, Tommy Rees. Would love to see Tommy Rees come in here and start to do some play calling for Justin Fields. Build a defense around Justin Fields. It would be really awesome, in my opinion, to see some of that happen. Let me refresh on Ian Rappaport. Let me see if there's anything on the rap sheet that's telling us anything new at this point. There is nothing, so we don't have any updates other than Luke Getsy is no longer he's no longer part of it, and there we go. This is what we have so far. Maddie Eberflus will be returning, so there we go. Majority of fans want Flus gone. Players don't. And look, guys, A team that's winning at the end of the season, even if they don't win their final game against their rival, I understand you can be mad about that, but a team that's winning against or creating a culture of winning and starting to get some victories, a team that's doing that is a team that's probably going to go into the next season winning. And I'm going to go back 2 years and I'm going to talk to you about the Philadelphia Eagles. And by the way, Jalen Hurts did not look that great until everything started to come together. And they closed out the season strong. They came into the next season, and guess what? Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. And what I said at the beginning of this year, and by the way, fact check me, bro. Go back to my first video back here because I talk about it months and months and months ago. And what did I say? I said Chicago Bears not going to be very good, but at the end of the year, when we get towards the end of the year, the Chicago Bears are going to be a much better team, and that's going to set them up for next season. Now, I will say, honestly, doesn't matter, again, if Justin Fields is the quarterback or not. I would like Justin Fields to be the quarterback because I think it's important to have I think Marvin Harrison is better than Caleb Williams for teams, for a team. I like Caleb Williams, but I like Justin Fields too. And I don't, when I look, here's the thing. I got to look at, for me, I got to look at Justin Fields. I got to look at Caleb Williams. Then I got to look at Darnell Mooney and Marvin Harrison Jr. What makes me better? And if you think that going with Caleb Williams and missing out on Marvin Harrison Jr. will not haunt you for the next 12 years, you are kidding yourself. I think that Justin Fields stays. I think that Marvin Harrison comes aboard. And then again, I hope that we reach out and we grab Malik Neighbors. And if he's not available because somebody else takes him, then Roma Dunze I would settle for. And I won't consider it settling, by the way. So I don't want to be disrespectful to the thought of Roma Dunze joining the team too. But I think 2 wide receivers in those first 10 picks, that would be a game changer for this entire offense. There's no excuses left. The only thing left is that the offensive coordinator has to now build and tailor this team around getting those guys open and making sure that they're making plays and giving Justin Fields the freedom and opportunity to make good plays. I think that's important. Players don't like Flus. They just don't want to say it publicly. That is not true at all. George, I apologize, man. They love this team loves Matt Eberflus. And by the way, it doesn't mean that they like all of the choices. You can love your head coach and you can hate your offensive coordinator or your running back coach or your quarterback coach. You can hate all them. By the way, quarterback coach Andrew Janakis is gone as well, along with Luke Getsy. Aaron McCaskey and Phillip hired Flus, not Poles. That is true. In fact, that is not a Ryan Poles hire, but they do want to see. Look, consistency is going to matter going into the next season. Will it be the end all be all? I don't know. Again, I don't know about Jim Harbaugh. I don't know his availability. I don't know Bill Belichick's availability. There are things that might change Matt Eberflus' job status in short order. We don't know them today. That doesn't mean that they don't exist. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't see. Bill Belichick out of a job in a couple days. If that's the case, then what do you do next? Do you bring him here, or do you stick with Matt Eberflus? Now you have to make a decision. Jim Harbaugh, you make the phone call, you get him on the phone, and he says, "You know what, guys, I really want this job. I'm really thinking about this. Let's do it. What do we need to do?" Then it changes the dynamic. Mike Vrabel's out there, hard-nosed, tough teams, dude. If you don't think that Mike Vrabel is the perfect fit for a team like the Chicago Bears, the fans, not the team, but the fans, if you don't think that Mike Vrabel, with his hard nose, make every play count, run the ball down people's throat kind of approach to football, he is exactly what Chicago Bears look for in a coach. So, he's available now. So what do you do? So there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. But I don't know. I can't tell you what will end up happening here. My Super Bowl pick after the 3rd week, the Ravens, Eagles. And by the way, guys, just full disclosure, I am originally from Louisville, Kentucky. So Lamar Jackson is my favorite quarterback just because he won the first Heisman for the Louisville Cardinals, which is my favorite college team. So, I'm definitely a fan of Lamar Jackson. But here's the thing. Whatever Lamar Jackson is doing, Justin Fields can do. The knock on Lamar Jackson was that he couldn't throw the ball. He can throw the ball, but he wasn't great at throwing the ball. So what ended up happening early on, he ran the ball. The team ran the ball a lot. The team was really good. Didn't survive in the playoffs. So what did Lamar Jackson do? He worked on his passing game. He worked on his passing game. He worked on his passing game. And where are we here? I think this is the 5th year of him being in the league, 6th year being in the league. And what is he doing right now? 70% passing accuracy. Where is Justin Fields? I think it was 64. Improvement, by the way. It's not what we want to see yet, but like there's a lot of Lamar Jackson, that elusiveness, that ability to scramble, the ability to get down the field. There's a lot of that. So let's see what happens. Let's let the team marinate for a little while. We'll keep you updated every day on what is going on. I take a receiver with the 2nd pick, but not the 1st. Fair enough. There's a lot of people that have, and Mike, you got this idea here. You can get elite receivers later in the draft: Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Adams. Nobody was talking about Tyreek Hill. Here's the thing, Mike. Nobody was talking about Tyreek Hill as being a generational talent. Nobody was talking about A.J. Brown as being a generational talent. Nobody was talking about Devontae Adams as being a generational talent. Everybody is talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. as being a generational talent. There is a difference between there's a difference between those guys and Marvin Harrison Jr. Does not mean, by the way, that he's better than any of them. Does not mean that he will be a superstar. And guess what? You can build by getting a quarterback in the 5th round, right, Tom Brady? You can build and you can win a Super Bowl with some really bad quarterbacks, as we've seen over the year, right? Trent Dilfer. You can build, you can do it. Look, it doesn't matter. What matters is, can you get a game-changing sort of player that changes the dynamic of your team? Marvin Harrison Jr. changes the dynamic of your team. Caleb Williams doesn't change the dynamic of your team. I just don't think so. Yes, you build in the trenches. Those trenches are kind of built. We need some pieces. There's going to be some pieces. But look, we can draft a center 2nd round because, if you get a 1st or 2nd rounder, good game, right? So we can go for a center in the 2nd round, or there's 7 decent centers that are available in free agency, some of them as young as 26 years old, going through their first major contract. There are plenty of options that the Bears have today that will take this team into the future. What matters at this point right now is, guys, Maddie Eberflus is still here. Luke Getsy is not. And I think that just made the Bears a playoff contender, as long as Ryan Poles has the final say about what happens with the OC next. So there are a lot of people, by the way, there are a lot of people that don't like Maddie Eberflus. There are a lot of people who don't like, but look, there's a lot of people that don't like everybody. There's very few people that we all agree are great. And I want to point out, some of these guys became better. Some of these guys developed into better coaches. What if Matt Eberflus in this next season becomes that guy because he's got the right offensive coordinator, and we've got a tough, hard-nosed, defensive-minded team that's actually throwing the ball downfield, providing a little bit of protection. They're not predictable in their offensive scheme. What changes all the, what changes there, right? All it is a little bit of learning, a little bit of getting better, a little bit of building this team, and a lot of focus and just being better. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. I think that today is the final day. We get monetized today, by the way. So tomorrow we'll be putting out exclusive content. There'll be a private. If you guys want to subscribe, it'll probably be like $2.99 a month or something like that. If you want to do that, we'll also be opening up for super chats and stuff like that going forward in the future. If you're into cryptocurrency, things I do in my spare time, I do cryptocurrency. You can look up Bleeves Crypto online. I have about 32,000 subscribers, and crypto is doing its thing right now, getting into the quote unquote bull run. Bitcoin is having quite a run at 45,000. So, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can go check me out online as well. But in the meantime, guys, be very, very careful. The Chicago Bears, done with Luke Getsy. Matt Eberflus so far is staying. We don't know that for certain, but we do know that as of this moment, he's staying. And as of this moment, Justin Fields is also the quarterback. And we've had rumors coming out from DJ Moore that he expects Justin Fields to stay. So we'll see what we see over the next little while. But until then, you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.